Chris Paul is in the NBA Finals. What do you think when you hear that sentence?
Man, it sounds damn good. Damn good. I write something on my shoes every game to say, can't give up now.
We do what we're supposed to do, I get the last laugh.
Oh, here we go. 2 hours and 16 minutes from now. Tip from Phoenix. The Bucks, it's the Suns. And how about the job that Monty Williams has done in Phoenix as we take a look at his arrival? Entering this postseason, he had a 2-8 record in playoff games. He already has 12 wins in this postseason. An absolutely incredible turnaround. And Mikal Bridges, when you think about that 2018 NBA class, Trae Young, him, Luka Doncic, I mean, just absolute stars. The future is certainly bright as we get ready. And when you say stars, well, you know who's going to show up. SportsCenter's On the Road, presented by Rocket Mortgage, as we say hello to Stephen A. Smith and Michael Wilbon, who are both joining us now from Phoenix. We're going to see them at the top of the hour, about 17 minutes from now here on ESPN SportsCenter with Stephen A. I want to start, because I showed Monty, and we're going to get to the coach perspective on this, guys, but I want to start with, obviously, the biggest storyline, and that is the uncertainty surrounding Giannis, who is a game-time decision for Game 1 with that hyperextended knee. How do you think the uncertainty surrounding his availability is going to impact this series?
Well, I definitely think it's going to impact the first 2 games of this series, Mike. I'm just of the mindset that if you're the Phoenix Suns, you take advantage of it because the Milwaukee Bucks are not the same without him. He's averaged 28 and 12 throughout these playoffs, nearly 28 and 13, and we all know what a freak he is. He's 6'11", he's strong, he's gained about 60 pounds of muscle since he came into the NBA. We know he can block shots, he can defend, and when you're a guy like DeAndre Ayton on the other side for the Phoenix Suns, Giannis Antetokounmpo can have a profound effect on your game because he has that kind of capability. With him, you could win this series, maybe even in 6 games. Without him, you could lose in 6 games. That's how much of a factor that I think that he could potentially end up being, Wilbon, in this series.
Well, remember, in the previous series we saw, the Los Angeles Clippers did not take immediate advantage of the absence of Chris Paul, and it cost him. I mean, you were at a point where it could have been 3-2 the other way in that series. And so, in this case, the Phoenix Suns need to win tonight. I mean, that sounds crazy going into a series saying, well, this is a must-win. It isn't a must-win, but the Suns, to feel good about themselves, they've been playing great. They've had 2 sort of off games in the entire playoffs in 3 rounds. And they know how well they've been playing, particularly defensively. And if Giannis is less than himself, I expect him to play. If you go from doubtful to questionable in a day, and then they start talking about game-time decision, I expect to see him out there. And if he's not out there tonight, I expect to see him shortly thereafter. But the Phoenix Suns need to win and take advantage of this. They've taken advantage of everything, every opportunity they've had in the postseason. Anthony Davis, you know, even LeBron with that ankle, they're taking advantage.
What about this question, Wilbon? I'm of the mindset that the Milwaukee Bucks shouldn't even play Giannis the first 2 games of the series.
We are in agreement.
I think they should sit him down, even if it's at risk of them going down 0-2 before they go back to Milwaukee. The first 2 games of this series are on the road. They're not at home, back in Milwaukee. Make sure he's ready to go. Probably needs an additional week. That would help immensely. That's where my mindset is. What about yours?
I agree with every word you just said, because you're talking about going from Tuesday to Sunday. Game 3 in Milwaukee is not till Sunday.
That's right.
And you give him all that. You get 5 more days of recuperation and treatment and all the things they do now, staffs do, to help players get ready quicker than ever before. I would not play Giannis in these 2 games. I was sort of surprised when I heard that he was upgraded from doubtful to questionable.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be upgraded. Let's transition to CP3, Chris Paul, because we know what he's meant to the Suns. He's the reason, a big reason, why they're here in this NBA Finals series. This series, a lot of people believe, is going to make or break his legacy as an elite point guard in the game. I will say this, he's still an elite point guard in the game, but if Chris Paul wins this championship, I would put him as one of the top 5 point guards in the history of basketball. No disrespect to the John Stocktons or Jason Kidds of the world, but I think about Magic, Steph Curry, Oscar Robertson, of course, the great Isaiah Thomas, and then Chris Paul is right there. Your thoughts?
That he's right there. And I hate that we have gotten to a point of a culture where you have to have that validation, as if all the other work doesn't count, right? As if Chris Paul hasn't been great in all these series. But that's the way it's evaluated now, and he knows that. He wants this, I don't even want to say desperately, he wants it with as much passion as he's probably ever wanted anything in his basketball life. Chris Paul has, I mean, he's been so much to this team. Did you hear DeAndre Ayton say a couple of days ago, he said this in an interview, he said Chris Paul's been everything to me. I mean, you know, DeAndre Ayton hadn't been coached hard. Yeah. Guess what? Yeah. Monty Williams is coaching him hard, but Chris Paul's coaching him hard on the floor, in timeouts. I mean, and Booker says the same thing. I mean, those guys understand what Chris Paul means to this team. And so, look, you don't know if you're going to get this chance. This is not one of those things where you got 4 young stars and they're all rising at the same time. You know what's going to the Western Conference is going to be like next year?
Oh, Lord.
I mean, you get Jamal Murray back and you get Kawhi back and you get...
In the Eastern Conference, Brooklyn will be back.
So you got so many teams.
We suspect that Kyrie Irving will be available. Yeah. We know KD will be available and James Harden will be available.
You can't sit back and say, hey, we got close and next year we're going. Right. No, this is their time, and so you know Chris has that urgency about this series.
Let's transition one more thing. The coaches, Monty Williams, Mike Budenholzer. Who has an advantage in this series and why, in your estimation?
My bias has already been documented from being with you and with Tony on PTI. Look, I don't understand what Milwaukee's doing. I don't understand what Coach Bud is doing. I don't understand. Bobby Portis averaged 11 points on 60% shooting in 18 minutes a game in the first round. He didn't even play games 5, 6, and 7 against Brooklyn when you need to at least somebody get a hand in Kevin Durant's face. Coach Bud doesn't even have him in there. I don't understand it. They go from dominating in the paint one night or one half to just throwing up threes. I don't understand it, but they're here, so he must be doing a lot right. He must have done a lot right to this point to prepare them, Stephen A.
Well, you can say that. I won't go as far as Charles Barkley when he called it dumb. They played dumb basketball. I mean, that doesn't make them dumb, but you can be very intelligent, very accomplished, very astute, like Coach Mike Budenholzer is, and do some inexplicable things. And that's what we've seen transpire in these playoffs. I'm definitely going to look at Monty Williams. I'm going to see the pulse of his team that he's clearly had all season and he continues to have. They're not the roller coaster that the Milwaukee Bucks have been. So based on that reality alone, along with the fact that he was first on my list for Coach of the Year honors, I had Tom Thibodeau of my New York Knicks as number 2. Monty Williams is number 1. I think he's done an outstanding job. I think he's proven himself to be an exceptional coach on this level. And I think in this series, I would give him an advantage because half the time, I'm not going to lie, I don't know what the hell Budenholzer's doing.
I don't know what he's doing.
Those are the games they lose, but it's not more than they win, so I'll give him credit for that.
We know what Monty's doing, and more importantly, his team knows what he's doing. His players believe, absolutely. And you can't look at what they're doing and just shake your head and say, I have no idea what's going on, like you do with Milwaukee. Don't know how much that's going to count, but Monty Williams, if we're talking about an edge and where you're going to put your check mark, that's where I'm putting mine as well.
An edge and the check mark. When you get that from Michael Wilbon, the Hall of Famer, that counts for something, L. That counts for something. Back to you.
Can we just at least say this, though, Michael Wilbon and Stephen A. Smith, there's so much that we don't know. We don't know if Giannis is going to play. We don't know if, yet again, the Suns are going to benefit from facing a team that doesn't have their biggest star playing. What we do know is that tonight we can hand out congratulations. Congratulations in order to Torrey Craig. He is going to win a ring no matter what. He is a member of the Suns. He was with the Bucks. He will be an NBA champion despite who hoists Larry O'Brien Trophy at the end of it all. So thank you. Much more with Stephen A. Smith and Michael Wilbon as we prepare for Game 1 tip in about 2 hours from now. Mike Wilbon's going to join us over on ESPN2 for more SportsCenter at the top of the hour as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Enjoy the game.